All right, folks, it is June 28th, 2023, and we need to talk about these crazy Bitcoin billionaires gone wild. They are buying again. And of course, we're talking about MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor and his company doubling down on their position, their bet on Bitcoin being the one, or at least having a future in this financial system. Let's get right on into it, guys. So I apologize for getting this one out late here today. I thought that I was going to be able to record a session last night, but Wifey wanted me to put together our new dresser from IKEA. So I was having just a joy of a time putting together that dresser, and you guys know the deal. Happy wife, happy life, getting it done with the family first, but we continue to press on with our businesses, with our investments. And as I said yesterday in my XRP buyback rant, our momentum is just incredible, and what we're building out with our community is going to be so amazing. I'm just so excited and thrilled right now. And so if you guys are looking to get tapped into our investment community, head on over to my website, ZachRector.com. You sign up for the Patreon to get access to our Discord, and we would love to have you over there. Now let's get right into it. So we have a Bitcoin market that is at 30,200. We are down today about 2% on the overall cryptocurrency market cap. 1.17 trillion is the overall cryptocurrency market cap. 1,853 for our Ethereum, or for your Ethereum. You know, I don't hold any Ethereum. And a 47 cents for our precious XRP. Taking a look at the sticks, we got Bitcoin staying alive, i.e. hanging above 30K. Hanging on for dear life here. We did see that we did go down to about 30,000, about 30,015. Okay, so a couple back tests here. This is the 4-hour chart, and we're watching over the past few days, just trying to survive above that 30K region. You know what the yellow horizontal line would be? That would be my Bitcoin short average entry. Okay, so I am negative right now on my Bitcoin short, but we are watching this trade, this movement very closely. Bitcoin billionaires are buying. We're going to get into it after we cover this crypto current events situation that is an absolute embarrassment for all of us Americans. We now have a statement from Biden. Putin is clearly losing the war in Iraq. Let me play this one for you guys. I could not believe it. It's getting a little crazy out here. This is our president, folks.
Fly around the world. It's hard to tell, but he's clearly losing the war in Iraq. He's losing the war at home. And he has become a bit of a fly around the world. And it's not just NATO. It's not just the European Union. It's Japan. It's 40 nations. It's hard to tell, but
what is this man even talking about, right? He doesn't even know where he's at. But Biden is having a rough day because we see Biden gets visibly upset when a reporter asks about how he and his son allegedly coerced a Chinese official to send money. Biden literally yells at these reporters, no. Guys, you got to check this out. He's having a rough one. Looks like someone is feeling the heat. Here are the facts. Hunter Biden allegedly used his father to pressure a Chinese official to send money. 1 week later, 5M. You know, the kids say M's in the bank account. 21 Savage, you know. The kids are vibing to that these days. Well, 5M just so happens to hit that Biden bank account after this conversation, right? Just 1 week later. And 1 million was then moved to Biden's brother's consulting firm. Of course, got to have the consulting firm for every operation that you got running right here in the crime family. Got to make sure we can take that million, move it around. Remember, they had 16 different shell companies to move all these funds around. Quite an elaborate scheme, but they do get caught in the cover-up once again. Hunter Biden's attorney didn't deny the claims, but called them misleading. That's all it is, folks. It's just misleading. And remember, I showed the irrelevant, reporter or whatever you want to call her, speaking on The View yesterday, working up her little crocodile tears about this whole saga and how this whole story and the Hunter Biden laptop and the whole story is about a father's true love for his son, about how Joe has never unwavered from supporting his son Hunter. And that's what this whole story is about. And we should all be working up our crocodile tears to defend President Biden. Now, you guys look at him. He's having a rough day here today. Check it out.
Were you? No. President Biden, how involved were you in your son's Chinese shakedown text message?
Were you sitting there? Were you involved?
No, I wasn't, and I don't know.
Were you?
No.
President Biden, how are we now?
He's like the senile old man that's coming out to yell at the kids playing down the road, right? I mean, just losing it, right? What planet is this guy on? And remember, folks, we've been talking about this. All part of the internal chaos within this country. Externally, we can see that countries around the world are fighting for a level playing field. And the next point here that I'm going to show you guys reiterates that. This is shared here by the Russian embassy in Kenya. We already covered this, though. I wanted to bring this back up, though, because this shows you the energy and, for lack of better words, the vibe that is coming from the rest of the world. Meanwhile, Biden literally doesn't know where he's at and is yelling at reporters for questioning what's now being exposed for us all to see. Our community's been tapped in on this. Many of you guys are well aware of this situation, right? But to now see Chuck Todd, the big liberal pundit talking head that he is, come out and say that there is a there with the whistleblowers, right? This is all flipping, and it looks like they're setting up the Biden crime family for the sacrifice here. Joe Biden does not look like he's going to be able to make it to 2024. Looks like, there's much speculation going around on who's going to replace him. But you have to remember why we cover the politics, why we cover the current events in this aspect, so that we can relate it back to what's taking place in the financial world, right? On the financial battlefield, right? We talk about the legal battlefield. That's why I had to put out the rant yesterday about the XRP buyback rant. And the whole thing there, the summary is that basically we're just trying to have a conversation with lawyers about protecting our assets. We're not here for a buyback. We just want our country back. So I had to get that rant off my chest yesterday. If you haven't already checked that one out, it's on my YouTube. Go check it out. We dropped it yesterday. But we have the legal battlefield, and then we also have the financial landscape here across the planet. The rest of the world doesn't have the ability to keep on printing fiat funny money and shelling that out across the world so that we can, take advantage of having that reserve currency status. We can buy up all of the commodities, all the resources and value that we need. And in return, people accepted our fiat funny money. This game's coming to an end for the United States, and we're going to have to do something. And like I said, it's reiterated by a president who's willing to stand up. And you know what we do to presidents like this that get out of line and start talking about taking away the power from the IMF and the World Bank. We need a new financial architecture where governance and power is not in the hands of a few, a new organization of equals. Things are not going forward. They are going backwards. You are not hearing us. And this is the President Britto of Kenya just ripping in to Macron from France. Let me see if I can play this. I don't know how good of audio. Let's check this out.
We need a financial transaction tax at a global level where even countries like Kenya pay. We do not want anything for free. You will pay more eventually because you have a bigger economy. We will pay commensurate to our economy. And we want those resources controlled not by IMF and World Bank. Because IMF and World Bank, you have the final say. We don't have no say. We want another organization of equals, where you have as much say because you pay as much as we do because we also pay. That's the organization we are looking for. And that is why we are saying we need a new financial architecture where governance, where power is not on the hands of a few people. We can agree on the governance of the institution. We can agree on the sharing of power so that all of us have access to resources that go.
Yeah. So you guys see in the energy behind these guys is because it's just not a game. It's not a joke. It's not about playing around with woke policies, political correctness, and pandering, trying to be cute, right? It's literally chaos in the streets. We got to get people fed. We got to, build out a new system that's equal for all. And we're not willing to do a deal with the IMF or the World Bank. And now you would say, well, we'll just take him out like we did Gaddafi or like we did Saddam Hussein, right? This is what we do every day, right? We'll just, get him out of our way. We'll get rid of that problem. Well, here's the situation, folks, is that you have a new BRICS development bank that's been, opened up for business. And so all of these other countries now have another option, right? They have a Russia, they have a China, they have the BRICS nations, plus dozens of other countries, and they're moving in tandem away from the dollar. Have they revealed what the new currency is going to be yet? No, but we have that BRICS summit that's coming up August 22nd through the 24th. So I've been warning about this. Just last week, we started to talk about how we have less than 2 months now until we could potentially see the new reserve currency rolled out, or a new reserve currency, right? It's not to say that the West doesn't have something up their sleeve and they're not going to try to play their card, but the BRICS nations, and they're really making a serious push along with dozens of other countries, are moving to asset-backed currencies, whether that's linked to gold, whether it's pegged to gold in some sort of ratio. We're going to see how this all gets rolled out, but they now have another option in the new BRICS Development Bank, or working with China to receive funding, to receive loans as well. Now, are those the most rosy deals that benefit the countries that are willing to take that Chinese money? That's a different conversation. And doing a deal with China comes with its own costs, right? We understand that. But on the other end, you have the IMF and the World Bank, which haven't really treated the rest of the world that great either, right? There's a cost that comes with doing business with the World Bank and the IMF as well, right? And, there's a cost that comes with speaking out against America and against the dollar, like this president from Kenya is doing. But the power is in the people, and the power is in dozens upon dozens of countries doing this simultaneously. So you can't just go take out one or two or a few, or like, it's been reported, the plan all along with the Middle East was there was about 5 countries there that they were going to topple and take over. And that's, been exposed, and we wasted trillions of dollars, right? And so what you're seeing now, though, is that there's an alternative. There's an option. There is a Bitcoin, as we're going to get into right here, folks. The Bitcoin option is available. And Michael Saylor, MicroStrategy, they're, betting heavy on that. For me, for our community, not many of us are too heavy into Bitcoin. We have an allocation to precious metals. And we understand that the US dollar will always be, in some form or fashion, a serious currency on the world stage here. It's just a matter of what ace up our sleeve. What do we have planned? Do we have the gold? Do we have the XRP? Do we have the Bitcoin? I mean, what are we going to back our currency by? How are we going to secure our reserve currency status going forward? Because we see what the BRICS nations are doing. They're ramping up production of the precious metals, of the commodities, and the real economy. Meanwhile, we just signed a deal for an unlimited debt ceiling and an unlimited budget to basically shell out fiat money and to shell out woke policies across the world. And that's the plan here in the United States. We think that that's going to be able to keep us. And as Janet No-Telling-Yellen is now admitting, right, we're going to slowly lose the reserve currency status. Very incredible statement to be coming from the Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, right? Just admitting that we are going to be losing our reserve currency status. Does it mean that we lose it completely? No, right? But as we talk about with these cryptocurrency investments, if you get a slice of the pie, you're getting some action. Well, even if the BRICS reserve gets a piece of the action, if the Chinese CBDC gets a piece of the action, right? There's many incentives and offerings here that the West have, and then there's the BRICS development and the options over there with China and other banks there as well. And so, as I've been saying with Ripple, XRP, what I like to see is them actually helping out these central banks around the world, giving them an incentive, giving them a deal on some of that escrow, saying, hey, we can help you out here. Let's facilitate and get this level playing field actually built out. This is what attracts these other countries. When you look at Bitcoin, as we're about to get into, the program really hasn't worked out too well because it doesn't work as effective payment. And then holding it as a store of value hasn't worked out as well either. Relatively speaking, these other currencies are being destroyed faster. And so, okay, they protect your wealth a little bit better against these other currencies, but, compared to what, right? Should you hold Bitcoin or should you hold precious metals? That's the $1 trillion question. As we're seeing, the Bitcoin billionaires are making their bet, and we're going to get right on into it, folks. After I share this one last article, this is concerning for many. Deutsche Bank tells investors some of their Russian shares are missing and it can no longer guarantee full access to Russian stocks that belong to them. The bank mentioned a deficit in shares backing the depository receipts issued before the war in Ukraine. The deficit was reportedly due to Moscow's decision to allow investors to get local stock in exchange for their depository receipts. So, folks, I think that this is much bigger than just the Russian stocks. I think that what you have basically is the same thing that's taking place in the banking sector. If everybody went to cash out, if everybody went to pull their money out or to move to the money markets, right? Where are the shares at, right? Who has the gold? Who has the XRP? Who actually has the shares? And who has the cash to actually give you in return for when you go to cash these out? I think that what you're seeing right now is the whole system's breaking from the stock market to the currencies and the banking system as well. And so we're going to find out who has the real money, which is the gold. I make the case it's the XRP, and Michael Saylor wants to double down on his Bitcoin investment. Now, the good news for him is that presidential candidate Robert F. Kennedy says he will make sure that your right to use and hold Bitcoin is inviolable. Okay? And so we're seeing it. We'll see how well of a run he makes. I do like that RFK is shaking it up a little bit with the narrative. I do like to see that. MicroStrategy announced they bought 12,333 Bitcoin for $447 million. You know what that means. Price crash incoming happens every single time they announce they buy. Wow. Let's watch that. And I'm actually going to be looking at the charts here later. I actually am going to go back. I'm going to plug in the dates that MicroStrategy announced their purchases, and I'm going to see how that coincided with the Bitcoin price action. But here's the full breakdown here from Bloomberg real quick. So the firm bought another 347 million Bitcoin from April through June. This is coming from the most recent SEC filing, right? Okay. And this brings the purchases to around 4.5 billion total, which is greater than its market cap of about 4.2 billion. And they did say that in May, the company said it may issue and sell shares of its Class A common stock, having an aggregate offering price of up to 625 million, according to the filing. So it looks like they're going to be looking to sell off some stock shares to actually go buy more Bitcoin. So this is going to either turn out to be the best investment ever, or this is going to be a huge issue. And the question is, I saw John Deaton post this on Twitter just a little bit ago, is the fiduciary duty to the shareholders that Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy have. They're going to have to offload it if we do ever achieve, you know, some of these prices during the next bull run, even though they're saying that they have no plan to sell, right? It's going to be interesting to see how they handle and move with this Bitcoin. They do have a significant amount. And as we've been talking about, the problem that I see with Bitcoin too is an incredible amount of centralization still exists within Bitcoin. A lot of people running nodes, a lot of decentralization as far as confirming the network. But, you know, we've highlighted in the past, it was centralized in China with 4 large mining pools doing over 60% of the mining. And now it's been moved over to the United States after China banned it, which in a way kind of consolidated it even more. You know, and so right now I still just don't feel like it's sufficiently decentralized. And then obviously it doesn't work as a payments network. And then as a store of value, that program hasn't worked out either, right? I don't know where MicroStrategy's at on profit and, you know, their P&L on their Bitcoin investment, but nonetheless, you gotta respect the conviction. The Bitcoin billionaires doubling down. Michael Saylor today and MicroStrategy announcing another 347 million, and they now have invested about $4.5 billion total in Bitcoin. Okay, so we're gonna see. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. What do you think about Bitcoin? Right? What do you think about MicroStrategy and investment? Is this going to pay off, or is Bitcoin doomed to failure? You know, is it relevant tech, or as I continue to throw around this idea that, you know, although it's a relevant tech, although it's not good for payments, because there's so many people that want and are hungry for an alternative, are they going to actually load up on Bitcoin, and are we going to see Bitcoin run up? With inflation too, you know, who's to say that Bitcoin couldn't actually go to 100,000 one day? Now, with that being said, we're about to see the launch of FedNow, and they are talking about how they will have core clearing and settlement functionality features ready to go at launch, right? So folks, this is going to be very exciting. About 90% of the financial institutions in the United States are getting prepared and ready to implement FedNow. So we got a big update to the system on the way. Here we have Anders sharing some thoughts from David Schwartz on FedNow. Let's take a look at what role XRP could play in this. FedNow's open architecture will enable banks and other financial institutions to develop APIs to integrate with FedNow. And you're looking at potential blockchain applications. You're looking at remittance companies and cross-border payments as well. And this is David's words right here. In working to build modern international payments, we've discovered that the biggest obstacle is often the very last hop. Some call it the last mile, right? Getting the funds to the payment recipient through the domestic payment system. And that's what FedNow is. But lacking connectivity to customers, CBDCs won't solve the last mile problem that has made modernizing international payments so difficult. Fortunately, domestic payments are modernizing. SEPA, Singapore, and others all have very strong domestic systems. The U.S. is implementing FedNow, though it won't be live for another few years. So this was a while ago. Now the go live date, July 1st, is here. And he says, so there is definitely an opportunity here to bridge domestic real-time payment systems such as FedNow, the clearinghouse for the US dollar, with powerful benefits for small to medium enterprises and ultimately consumers around the world. Now recall, FedNow does an incredible amount of volume, and so does the clearinghouse. The clearinghouse does about 2 trillion daily in volume, and FedNow is actually for, I believe that FedNow was originally set up, and I don't know if it's going to be the case here as it gets launched, that it's still only for payments of 25 grand or less. So over $25,000 you're going through the clearinghouse or other, domestic payment platforms, I guess, unless they have updated that and they're ready to do more. But from what I had read before, FedNow, FedWire was 25 grand and less in a payment at a time. Okay. So, incredible opportunity to bridge these domestic payment systems. And that Ripple's been working with multiple, right? 3 of the FedNow, what do you want to call them? Volante, ACI Worldwide, some of these partnerships that they have, going back years, they're very tied in there. And we're going to see the, Volante, I actually have a few more clips that I need to share in a different video for you guys. They've been all in on XRP and with Ripple for a long time, but I'll share that in a separate video. Now, you go back and you look here, folks, Arthur Britto, June 2017. Remember, Arthur Britto is kind of the anonymous creator of XRP. No one really, there's a few pictures on the internet of him. No one really hears from him, but he's the one that back in June of 2017 said the XRP ledger needs to be able to scale to serve 7.5 billion people and even more devices. And so what's interesting to me about this, remember, is this isn't Ripple needs to be able to scale to serve 7.5 billion people. This is the XRP ledger. So the true intentions here is to be able to serve and scale up to 7.5 billion people. As far as Ripple's business model, you're just interacting with, the SWIFT, the 11,000 member banks of SWIFT. You're interacting with ACI Worldwide. You're interacting with FedNow, partners like Volante, right? Ripple doesn't need to deal with all 7.5 billion people on the front end facing, right? We don't need an app for them, but what we need is to be able to handle that back end settlement behind the scenes. We need to be able to scale to serve all 7.5 billion people on a wholesale level and even more devices as this whole system, this whole internet of value gets created and grows exponentially over the next decade. Now, amidst all this, Brad Garlinghouse taking the stage here in Switzerland, I believe. Let me see this. I think this is Switzerland. Even if we remained in permafrost in the US, as Sheila Warren aptly coined on stage, what we've seen over this last crypto winter is a refocus on building for utility and fundamental infrastructure. Always happy to be back at Point Zero Forum. And absolutely amazing to see Brad continuing the roadshow around this planet, talking about the success of Ripple and the XRP ledger. I'm so excited for us, guys. I'm just not even worried about when this case is going to end. I see so many people are frustrated with it, and I get it. I get your frustration, right? And so right now, what am I doing? I'm focusing on what I can control. I get my little garden going. I stack my little precious metals. I run my little businesses on a daily basis. Yesterday, went and met with another banker, set up another relationship. And how do we move the needle on a daily basis? What can we control? That's what we need to focus on. All of this that we've laid out, the research over the years, folks, it's taken us somewhere incredible. Is it a 50K price for XRP? Don't care. It's not going to be 50 cents, and that's all that matters, right? This is going to take us somewhere that'll be life-changing, and then the plan going forward with it is going to be absolutely crucial as we prepare to invest in real estate, to invest in other businesses, and really looking forward to the momentum that we have in our community. Like I said, it's all over at my website, zachrector.com. And I am going to wrap up this session just by asking you guys kindly to please smash that thumbs up for me. Make sure you subscribed and hit that notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all.